Welcome back to Local 5 Live, and we're revving up for Life in the Past Lane, and this is the cover of the new popular local book.
Yeah, author Joe Verdegan joins us now to talk about the history of stock car racing in the area and the book as well. Good morning.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. Thank you for coming in. I understand this book has been quite popular since you published it.
It's gone better than I could have ever anticipated. In fact, if you could talk to my publisher, Mike DePlay, we ran out of books probably an hour early. So we were selling books to people that weren't even there. We took orders and it was kind of chaotic, but I learned a lot from that. So it's been a big hit. Been very pleasantly surprised, I guess.
Is this your first foray into book writing?
Yeah, you know, I've been writing about racing for the Press Gazette for a long time, and I went to one of their seminars, and I just kind of had the idea in the back of my head. And I've always been kind of a history buff about racing. I thought, why not do it? And it's turned out pretty good.
Oh. And stock car racing, the history here, right here in Northeast Wisconsin, I'm not very familiar with it, but there is so much history to be told.
There's a lot of history, and it dates back to like the 50s. And as a kid, I was growing up, I went to the Brown County Fairgrounds in De Pere. There you see Jerry Munster right there and some of the photos. But as a kid, I saved all this stuff, like old programs and things, and I had a memory like a sponge. I soaked all this stuff in. And it was just kind of a natural fit for me to kind of to go with this and write the book. I mean, there's John Schultz. And for me, these guys were my childhood heroes growing up. Yeah. And then for me to get to interview them down the road, I mean, I've announced at a lot of racetracks too, so I've been fortunate to interview like 3 generations of drivers sometimes, so it's pretty neat.
What's kind of the format of the book? Do we get to see these photos as well as part of the book?
Yes, you do. And each chapter is kind of like its own short story. I let the drivers tell their stories a lot of times. And it's neat because it's kind of like pro wrestling. There was a lot of rivalries and stuff back then. The entertainment was real, but unlike pro wrestling, you didn't know who was going to win at the end. So it's kind of neat that way.
And what do you think it is about the racing culture that has made this book so popular?
It's something different. No one has really kind of packaged the local history together, and I guess I've been the guy who decided to do it, and that part of it is neat. And what really was encouraging at the book signings that we've done, a lot of the younger race fans have bought the books, and we all get, you know, and I'm guilty of it too. We're all with our personal devices, okay? Yeah. If we're guilty, raise your hand.
I am too.
Exactly. But a lot of younger fans bought the book, which I thought was very encouraging for the sport, I guess.
Do you think it's just as strong as it was in the past when you were the kid going to the fair?
Yeah, it's changed a little bit though, like society. Years ago, there was no internet or social media, so I would have to wait at the mailbox every Thursday for a kid to get my copy of the Midwest Racing News and the Checkered Flag Racing News. So I would read about all these guys and these heroes, and then you see them at the track, and it kind of comes to life that way.
Are a lot of those drivers we were looking at still driving? I know Jerry is, right?
Jerry Munster, I believe he's 75. I've got a chapter on Jerry in the book, and Greg, super guy. And he says now that he's retired, he goes, I don't know how I had time to actually work full time. He's as busy now as he ever was. But yeah, Jerry still goes. I interviewed Earl Ness. He's still alive and around. He's 94 years old. And like guys like Red Bedell are still around, most of them. And neat to talk to these guys because they love to share their stories. And they're kind of genuinely appreciative that we're kind of giving them an avenue to tell their stories.
It's a hobby of a lifetime, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. It's been a labor of love, and I enjoy doing these kind of things to promote the book as well, as much as I liked writing it. It wasn't like work to me, so I'm very fortunate in that sense.
Well, for a newspaper guy, you're pretty good on TV, I would say.
Yeah, I gotta say.
I've got a face for radio, though. I did work at radio.
Let's take a look at where you can meet Joe. He's going to be signing books tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Lakeshore Motorsports Expo at the Manitowoc County Expo. So are books going to be for sale there too tomorrow?
Yep, and it's kind of like a racer swap meet. It's kind of like a social gathering for racers and that kind of thing. So.
All right, good. Head on down there. Thank you so much for coming in today and bringing the book.
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
We'll see you Monday.